Hello, Steve, and Ray, and Nate. You too, Jordan. Just real quick, I've actually included the source code and the project for Halo to create the initial data grading, data profiling, MetadataMart capabilities we talked about on the call yesterday. Just by way of reference, the code that we're using is actually pretty well documented out there for the last couple of years. I've done several seminars. Here we are in Madison, Wisconsin, about 12 other cities too, with this same code and a presentation on using metadata. I presented at the SQL Rally in Orlando a year ago, and have done several presentations with Aaron Zorns, the leading analyst in terms of metadata management and data governance, both webinars, radio shows, and interviews. Point being, there is some solid references out there for what we're going to look at and do. Not simply data profiling, we've got it backed up with quite a bit of methodology and material. Now to take a look at our solution here, if we were to jump into SQL Management Studio, we've created a MetadataMart here that actually lets us come in and look at statistics on information. So if we were to kind of wipe this out and start from scratch, there we go. And we'd also bring this guy over. Looking at the basics, I've got the basics here that Steve asked for. We've got quite a bit more, but we've got things like min count, domain count, distinct count, and several hierarchies. And I'll show you the project these guys came from here in a second. Let me finish clearing this off. So now, obviously, we're looking at an analysis services cube here. I should have mentioned that. If we were to drag over, let's say, our distinct domain count, and then bring in this particular case, our column hierarchy, and bring this guy right over. Oops, sorry. Drop it in, and you can see on each of these columns now we can actually drill in, and certainly the objective here is to be able to do this through Prism, where we can make comments and discussions. We've got the most popular domain on this particular column, the minimum domain, and in this case the maximum domain. The minimum domain is a question mark, so there's an error or a problem here, which is one way to go about looking at this. Another way is there's another hierarchy over here. Let's take a look at that, which we've built. And again, this will obviously look quite a bit bigger in Prism, but if we bring over our table column hierarchy, and so a couple of other counts here. We've got our distinct count, we've got our domain count, we've got our null count. There are a few more here, and once Steve takes a look at this, we can add or subtract as needed. We can again drill into the schema, drill into a particular table, and then take a look at each of the columns and have each of the values. This would be the first phase. There's another phase I'd like to provide, which is sophisticated domain analysis, which lets you look at the patterning values in each column. But I've wrapped this up per Steve's request, and we'll get this sent off. The last thing we'll look at here, if we drop down in here and look at the actual Halo solution. Sorry, one second. What that solution consists of. We'll open this up. Is obviously beyond our data connections, we've got a simple package. We're connecting to a table that was created on the server. Here is that table with the counts in place. There are more here than we've done. I've built a few dimensions with a series of hierarchies that we've just talked about, and then done a straightforward cube build. Lastly, the one process, there's the beginning process I could not get in Halo to work yet. It's a little bit sophisticated in terms of some of its stored procedures. But let me just show you that. I provided a series of queries. And we'll just take a look at those real quick. You've got to run these 6 queries. There are filters in them, so you can add, subtract, or select tables. Perhaps Steve and Nate can help me do a little better at Haloizing these. But the bottom line is, if you run these in SQL Management Studio, they will build 2 tables, load profile, column OLAP, and load profile, domain, pattern overlap. Each of those tables can then be sourced, and you get the ability to collaborate in Prism with the same type of information you have in DataGrade. Now, a few other things I haven't done yet is I could date timestamp these, or we could set up scenarios so you could track changes. But this would give us a basic start, at least in terms of the basic capabilities. Let me know. Thank you very much.